Hello Happy World, it's General Van. When it comes to characters, Fire Emblem Fates has an absurdly large cast which can honestly rival some Pokemon rosters. And though the expression goes the more the merrier, this isn't always the case, as having too big of a cast can lead to a lot of characters having only one, maybe two defining traits that make them who they are. Probably the most obvious example of this is none other than one of Xander's retainers, the blue and pink haired girl with a real penchant for killing, Peri. Peri is a character that a large amount of fans either dislike or feel indifferent towards, myself included, and some of that is justified. We've seen Fire Emblem characters that kill for their own benefit and pleasure numerous times in the series before Peri, yet they have garnered pretty large or decent sized fan bases. So why is Peri disliked by so many players? The root of this problem lies within two main things: her personality and reason for doing what she does, but we also have to take a look at her name and personal skills to see if they indicate anything relating to her personality. Before we start though, I'd like to clarify that no, Peri is not in fact a yandere. A yandere is a psychotic girl who kills or acts violently out of obsessive love for someone. Kurumi Tokisaki from Data Life is a perfect example of this, and I totally did not just use that as an excuse to talk about Data Life. The obsessive love part of that description is a trait that Peri simply doesn't have. She doesn't obsess about Corrin, or anyone really for that matter, in the same way Camilla and her gigantic titties do. With that being said, Peri is definitely psychotic and violent. Her name actually gives it away. In Persian Armenian, the Peri are exquisite wing-like fairies acting as the middle ground between angels and demons or evil spirits, which reference her being a sweetheart when cooking, which we'll talk about more later, and her murderous tendencies. In Romanian, Peri, the Romanian version of Peri, means to die, so right off the bat her name gives away the type of character she is. You could also say that her name is part of the word peril, meaning danger. Peri's violent tendencies are also presented in her personal skill, Bloodthirst, which grants her +4 strength, magic, speed, and skill whenever she initiates battle and kills her enemy, which ties in with her wanting to kill even more people after having already done so. This is all due to what she experienced in her backstory. When Peri was younger, her mother was murdered by one of her family servants. Afterwards, despite her father having that servant executed, she started believing that every servant was her mother's murderer, and decided to murder them all herself. What's even more bizarre about all of this is her father's unwillingness to do anything about it, which essentially warped Peri's own concept of morality. This led her to not only murdering servants, but basically anyone who she thinks wronged her in some way. Her personality is also extremely childish, and she is basically throwing a huge tantrum when killing innocent people. In the Japanese version, she even refers to herself in the third person, which is seen as extremely childish, especially for someone of her age and status. In her support with Corrin, she is shown to be crying. Because people look at her differently? Because she is of nobility? Yeah, totally not because you murder everything you see in cold blood, right? And also in her support with Jacob, where she demands he bring her tea just because he's a butler, not realizing that he is only Corrin's butler and only answers to Corrin and Corrin alone. Though all this won't exactly make her a likable character, she does have some redeeming qualities, as she is shown to be an outstanding cook, but only because she's afraid of her food being poisoned, implying that paranoia may be something she suffers from, and probably because she doesn't want to end up like Dorcas. Her violent behavior isn't just limited to her own enemies, but also Corrin's army, as when Felicia spilled tea on her, Peri declared that she'll kill Felicia if she messes up like that again. When Felicia eventually does due to her clumsy nature, Peri tries to go through with her threat and kill Felicia, only failing because of the maid's skills in self-defense. And this is where it gets even more fucked up. Peri is so impressed with Felicia dodging her attack that she asked her to train up some servants so that they can put up at least a decent fight when she tries to kill them, showing that she doesn't get that much satisfaction from killing a completely helpless person. And speaking of servants, in her support with Jacob, she mentions that killing is her favorite pastime. However, she also acknowledged that killing is wrong, as she would hate it if it was directed at her. But then her childish behavior also comes to the forefront, as she suddenly goes from hating Jacob to liking him when he compliments her mastering the art of killing the enemy. Didn't know that was actually an art form, but okay. In her support with Kaze, which is pretty heartfelt for the most part, she tells him that she'll only cook for him if he keeps complimenting her. Oh man, if her cooking and sweets are that good, imagine if she met Gaius, he'd be in love at first bite. Heh, see what I did there? It seems the only way to get to her is by complimenting her. A comparison that some fans have made is Henry from A Jailbaiting. Another one is Starja, but since Henry's personality is more similar to Peri's, we're going to be looking at him instead. On the surface, these two share similar traits, as they are both deranged killers who kill with a smile on their face. So why is Henry so loved while Peri isn't? For one, Henry has his eyes closed, and closed eyes characters get all the love, right? On a serious note, Henry's reasoning for killing, while still not entirely justified, makes a little more sense than Peri's. Up until Peri's mother was murdered, she lived a pretty normal life of a noble and was presumably taught the difference between right from wrong. Henry, on the other hand, was not. Henry's parents abandoned him and sent him away to an elite magic school, which was described as cruel, and he was punished very often, which led him to becoming almost numb to pain. So while Peri has at least some knowledge of the difference between right from wrong, Henry generally doesn't know. He just doesn't know. Two other huge differences involve the way they act and the value each places on life. Whereas Peri acts like a spoiled child who will throw a tantrum when things don't go her way, Henry acts as more as a joker with a pretty fucked up sense of humor, but also someone you can have a normal conversation with. And with Henry, normal is, yeah, your mileage may vary on that. And unlike Peri, who kills basically anyone and anything, Henry loves animals and they are attracted to him for some reason. He also made friends with Mustafa and his family. When Peri kills, she is doing it out of her own pleasure, not necessarily to help anyone. When Henry kills, he generally believes he's doing the right thing and wants to help out Crom's army. He just doesn't know how to do what's right, yet still tries his best because he actually cares for the people around him. It's also worth mentioning that if they are married, they both change their murderous tendencies for the better. The string of cases for missing people eventually stops in Peri's ending, and Henry turns out to be a pretty good father. I'll go over what makes Henry a good character in a future video, but these are just some attributes that he has which garnered him so much love for fans, attributes that Peri just doesn't have. Peri is very childish, spoiled, kills everyone for her own pleasure, and really doesn't care about people around her unless it's for her own benefit, such as compliments or training up servants to make them not totally defenseless when she tries to kill them. While Peri is one of, if not my personal least favorite character in the series, there are some positives to her that some fans can really appreciate, myself included. First off, her design. Her design is the absolute shit, and one of my favorites in the entire series, and while her personality isn't my cup of tea, her design perfectly nails what her character is going to be. Her blue hair, which fades into a pinkish purple, one bang that covers her green right eye, as well as her pink eyes, which are a result of heterochromia iridum, a trait that she shares with Idun from Binding Blade and Rano from the Mia series. I'm a sucker for pink and red eyes, so I thought I'd like her a lot. I was proven wrong, but that doesn't change the fact that her design is really good for her character. Her support with Kaze is also really heartfelt for the most part, and shows that she can like doing things besides killing. She is also an amazing cook, something that I can appreciate because I suck at cooking, but I can make a mean bowl of Lucky Charms though. And while I never used her much, being a Cavalier is always good since Cavaliers are one of the best class lines in the series. So what really went wrong with Peri's character? Too much of childishness and senseless killing without enough good enough reasoning to back it up, and not enough time to really develop as a character. This doesn't mean you can't like her though. If you like Peri or she is your favorite character, power to you fam. That's the beauty of Fire Emblem. There are so many characters and so many games that there is someone for everyone. Actually, if you do like Peri, let me know down in the comments what it is about her that you like. I'm curious to see your responses and maybe you can shed some new light to other fans about her. I'm actually going to be completely honest here. I actually like doing these videos of dissecting a character and looking at them closer since it actually helps me learn more about them in ways that I may have missed before. Also, I get to sound smart again. Yeet. Absolute Unit is still one of my mainstays on the channel, although they might be a little less frequent because like I said, I actually like doing these videos where I just get to talk about a character, learn more about them, and you know, maybe you guys can learn something from these videos. And again, thank you all so much again, and this is your reminder to play Bang Dream Girls Band Party because it's a really great game with a great cast of characters, and just like Fire Emblem, there's someone for everyone in that game. I'll see you all next time. Peace! Have a great day.